Hello everyone. Oh, welcome on in. I'm Velvet. Thanks for joining me today for this speed build in the brand new Enchanted by Nature world of Inner Screen using the brand new Enchanted by Nature pack. I had a delightful time building this. I honestly, I just really enjoyed it. This particular build that I'm doing right here is actually base game and Enchanted by Nature only. So it's only the one expansion pack plus base game. And that really gave me a good chance to really get to know this pack and all of the items in this pack. So I was really excited to get building with this and really have a good play around with all of the items in this build because it's yeah, all of the build buy items are just so whimsical and pretty and beautiful and great for this world of fairies and fae and nature living beings. So I was quite delighted to get started on this. Now, this build is 3 bedrooms and 2.5 baths, but I've put it as three on the gallery. So it is up on the gallery under VelvettB, and we are just trying to think what lot. What does it say up there? Fairy. Oh my gosh. Let me read it. See if I can get it closer in. Oh, Bard Boulevard. Oh my gosh. I knew that. It's like right on top of my screen at Bard's Boulevard. So this is on the Bard's Boulevard lot in a screen, which I think is over in the Spruce area, perhaps? Just trying to think. Or is it in Everdew? Oh my gosh, I don't know. I haven't quite memorized the area as yet. I'm just still getting to know the world. But anywho, it's an inner screen, and it's a 30 by 20 lot, and it's actually one of the 30 by 20 lots that's sideways rather than being the long ways kind. So just be aware of that if you aren't placing that in the world of inner screen or on a different lot, that it would be a lot better in terms of the build front facing if it is on a sideways 30 by 20 lot. Well, what did I do in this build? How fun was it? I mean, all of those things, great questions that I just asked myself. So let's get into it. So with the roofing, what I did there is I created a roof. And basically it was just like, the gable roof. And then I angled it with my angling sort of dots and gave it like a little bit of a scoop. Then what happened is that I did a second layer of the roofing. So it's sort of got a layer and then it's got a second layer underneath. So I took the same roof again and then I dipped it down by 3. So 1, 2, 3, pushed it down by 3. And then I just left it sunk underneath the roof that it was originally, so it was like 2 layers. And I thought that was a really cool idea. When I was kind of touring around the world of Inner Screen, when I was just having a nosy when the new pack came out, I did notice like some of the roofing like that, where it had like some of the layers, which I thought was really cool. So I was kind of inspired by that and did my own sort of version of it. And I was really happy with how that looked and just like the 2 layers and just gave it, it's kind of like almost an elvish fairy look. That's kind of how I was envisioning this house, like slightly elvish, slightly fairy, you know, sort of the elvish version of fairies, because there's lots of different versions of fairies out there in the world. But I feel like with the Celtic or Celtic items in the build buy that we got with the Enchanted by Nature pack, they have like the Celtic knots and that sort of thing, because it is inspired by Ireland. So yeah, I was kind of inspired by that as far as like the elvish fairy kind of style, because a lot of the sort of elvish stuff, it can quite often have those influences of Ireland as well. So I thought I just kind of leaned into that. That's what I was vibing with. There's still plenty of builds to come with this very pack. I mean, I have just tipped the iceberg with this particular pack in terms of building, and I mean, this is the very, very, very first thing that I built with this pack. So I'm just beginning. I feel like I still want to do like the whimsical kind of cottages with the curved roofs and, all sort of natural and that sort of thing. And there's just so many amazing pieces of build by. The debug is gorgeous as far as the landscaping goes, with like the toadstools and like the plants. We actually got quite a few different plants with this one as well, which is quite delightful. We even got some roof plants which weren't debug, which is nice because we don't very often get much in the way of plants for the landscaping anyway. When it comes to packs, it just kind of goes into debug, and we don't really get it outside of debug, which is a frustration. And I do kind of wish we did get more things in terms of plants and landscaping items outside of debug. I mean, I know we can still access them with cheats, but not everybody likes to use cheats, and not everybody is aware of the cheats. So, it would be nice if everybody who bought the pack could really experience the full impact of the items that we got with the pack. I also did a little bit of terrain manipulation with this build. So, it's kind of running up a hill up here, and I was playing around with that quite a bit. I did find that there were a few plants that we get with the roofing plant section that were actually quite good for going on slopes. So if you are playing around with hills and terrain manipulation, because it is usually quite hard to get without the tool mod to get plants to sit properly on hills, because they'll just kind of float. Whereas the plants with that go on the roofing, there were just like a couple that came with the Enchanted by Nature pack, and you'll see them. I've used them all over the place, and they sat really nicely on the hill, so they would angle in, and they didn't look like they were floating. So I went with those around the place on the hills, and also the little lavender bushes. They worked really nicely on the hills as well. So I did an abundance of those because I needed something to go on the hills and just fill in a little bit of the terrain. And plus, the flowers look really pretty with the build. And I wanted to have kind of plants everywhere. This pack really does celebrate, nature and plants and, flowers and pretty things like that. So, I did want to lean into that a bit. It did take me a while to really establish what I wanted to do with the colors on the outside of this build. You would have seen a few changes happening here along the way, but this is actually the colors that I ended up with the reclaimed wood that we got with the Nature's Calling event, combined with like the scales of one of the wallpapers that we got with Enchanted by Nature. And then I just really leaned hard into the doors and windows from Enchanted by Nature, and like the little dormers, and you can see me just putting some of the roof plants on there as well and just dotting those around. Because I had the dip in the roof, how it's kind of curved, it did make it a little bit more difficult to find the plants that would work with that dip in the roof, because a lot of them just wouldn't place on there. So it, funnily enough, ended up being the same plants that would work really well on the hills. So it was just the two Enchanted by Nature plants as well as the lavender plant. So those three plants are really, really flexible with sitting on angled things. The others, not so much. Also, I have a gripe about this. So the little vine thing that I put above the door, which, looks like it should go above the door, right? Because it's got that curve and that sort of thing. Anyway, that ended up getting changed, because when I was playtesting, and you just see me putting it on the other side there as well, when I was playtesting, Sims will not go through closed doors with that ivy above it. I feel like that's not how it's supposed to work. I feel like it should be able to be put above doors, and Sims should go through the doors, but they don't. And I was a little frustrated by that, so I ended up having to change that anyway. I changed it anyway, but yeah, I did note that when I was playtesting that those ivy above doors as a no-go. So just be aware of that if you are getting that pack and you are doing a little bit of building with it. Just try out those ivies and what works for it, because they will not sit close to the door. Even though you think they should, they will not. The other thing that I wanted to achieve with this build, aside from making it look pretty, is I wanted to also achieve like a little bit of indoor-outdoor flow. So you'll see me sort of making those changes as we go throughout the build, of me just trying to incorporate a little bit of indoor-outdoor flow with this particular build. So you see that there where it goes from the second level out onto the outdoor dining area. And I do it downstairs in the Apothecary room as well, where, I just have the open archway doors rather than having closed doors. So, they can go in and out of the house, and it's all sort of quite open. I did notice when I was touring around the pre-builds in the pack that there were a few buildings like that in terms of having that indoor-outdoor flow. So I just wanted to reflect that in this build as well, sort of the indoor-outdoor thing. This is the first of the 3 bedrooms that will be in this house. The bedrooms aren't huge in this. It's not like a massive house. It's quite tall, but it's quite thin. It's a 30 by 20 lot. I mean, it's not huge, but we are 4 levels. And then this is the Apothecary area. So I just wanted to have like a little area where you can do like, mix your potions and bits and pieces, like potions and lotions and cures and elixirs. And it's got a little half bath. So this is a half bath here. It is fully functional and play tested. And this is a bit of a sort of like a living room / apothecary area, maybe like even in like a business area if you wanted to turn it into that as well. Now we're moving up to the second floor, or the first floor, depending on how you judge that. I mean, it's ground floor, second floor, first floor. I don't know, however you do it. And then this is the kitchen section. So this needed to change because I did play test this, and it turned out putting the counters underneath the stairs is a no-go. So Sims don't like that. Actually the round counters were fine. It was actually the only issue was the square counters, as it turned out. They just wouldn't walk up the stairs with those square counters under there. So I ended up having to change that, which I think you'll see a little bit later on. But I kept like the gist of it, but I just moved the walls around and just kept the round counters. So like, yeah, as I said, the round counters I think were fine, although I didn't really put those under the stairs. So maybe they're not fine. But having counters under the stairs, can't do that. The walls were fine, just not the counters. So yeah, and just using the brand new counters that we got from the Enchanted by Nature pack. I just love those. And the cute little tables, the cute little plants, the cute little things everywhere, the mirrors, the couches, the end tables, the coffee tables, all of the things. I just kind of wanted to put as much of the Enchanted by Nature bits and pieces in this build as I could, because it's really just an exploration of the pack and me trying to really understand the pack and get to play with the pack and how it kind of works. And doing a build with base game really helps me kind of get to know a pack, because I feel like half the time if you don't really spend time with it like this, you just spend a lot of time discovering new things, and you don't know that they're there until it's just like a month down the line and you're like, what? This pack has that? And you're like, what? So I wanted to just, explore it as much as I could and really get to know it. So, as I get on with my building and, different kinds of builds, I sort of have a good understanding of what items are in there and then how I can use those perhaps in other builds and other styles of builds as well. So I'm excited for that. Doing some more building and stuff, maybe on the weekend, it'll be good. As you can see, I sort of matched pink and green. So it's like peach and, well, what sort of peach and green, not pink and green. And that wasn't necessarily an intentional choice. It just ended up being, or it wasn't like a forethought. I didn't pre-think about what colors I was going to do on the interior. It just kind of worked out that way. And this is me fixing the counters because I was going to play test the bed upstairs, and then I realized I couldn't get upstairs after a while because I was like moving the bed around going, why can't I get to the bed? And then I realized it was the stairs. So, as you do. So fix that because I was kind of playtesting some of the areas as I went. So that was rather fortunate that I had a sim there and I could playtest them as I went if I was uncertain about certain areas, as I was. So that ended up working out quite well. And then so that was the second bedroom that we just did with a double bed off to the side. So it wouldn't be for a couple, it would just be for a single person with a double bed. And then on the top level, which we're just starting now, that is going to be a nursery, because there are so many adorable nursery items in this pack, and I felt like leaving a nursery out of this home, even though it's on the fourth floor, not the best for kids, but just kind of the way it worked out. Yeah, I just wanted to have the adorable, bassinet, toddler bed, crib, all of the things. And then I realized I didn't have a bath in any of the bathrooms, and none of the bathrooms were big enough to have a bath in it. So I was like, I'm going to make an outdoor bath. So I did. And it worked out quite nicely. But anyway, I'm going to leave you guys to the tour. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this build. And remember to hit subscribe if you haven't already. And I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Bye.